Welcome to another video on US visas. I'm your host, John, and I am the Client Success Manager here at Siam Legal. And today, I'll explain everything you and your partner need to know about the CR-1 and IR-1 visas. The CR-1 and IR-1 visas are both spouse visas, allowing your partner to gain permanent residency in the US and obtain their green card. However, some differences set these two apart from one another. A CR-1 visa, also known as a conditional residence visa, can be issued to your spouse if they have been married to you for less than 2 years. It grants them conditional PR status where they have to stay married for at least 2 years. To remove any conditions, they have to file a Form 1751, petition to remove conditions on residence. An IR-1 visa, also known as an immediate relative visa, can be granted to your spouse if they have been married to you for over 2 years. This grants immediate permanent residency status with no added conditions or restrictions. It also lets them stay for 10 years rather than 2. To qualify, you and your spouse need to fulfill several eligibility requirements. Both the IR-1 visa and CR-1 visa have similar requirements to satisfy. As a U.S. petitioner, you need to sponsor your spouse, who is labeled as the beneficiary, for either the CR-1 or IR-1 visa. You must be a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident with a green card, at least 18 years of age, and currently domiciled in the States. Your marriage with your spouse must also be legally recognized under the U.S. immigration law. Both visas offer several benefits for your spouse. If your spouse receives one, they will also be able to apply for a green card, also known as a permanent residency card, allowing them to live with you permanently in the States. Both visas grant automatic permanent residency upon arrival in the States. With the CR-1, there will be conditions applied to your spouse's PR status, whereas with the IR-1, their status will be unrestricted while on the CR-1 and IR-1 visas. Your spouse is also given the opportunity to work in the US for any local company before their green card is issued. They don't need to even apply for a work permit. This gives them more options when it comes to making a living in the whole country. The petitioner and beneficiary must submit different items. As the petitioner, you need to present proof of their US citizenship, either through a naturalization certificate or US passport, marriage certificate, and a divorce certificate if you were previously divorced. You also need to meet some financial requirements and file Form I-864, Affidavit of Support, showing that you can financially support your spouses at 125% of the U.S. federal poverty level. If you cannot meet this, you will need to use a joint sponsor. You also need to complete Form I-130, Petition for Alien Relative. The documents your spouse needs to provide include a valid passport, birth certificate, 2 passport-size photographs, marriage certificate, evidence that their marriage was legalized, and a completed DS-260 application. Your spouse will also need to complete a medical exam and provide examination forms as proof. Both you and your spouse will need to provide evidence that your marriage is genuine. Examples of this include bank statements from a joint account, credit card statements, wedding photographs, and more. To obtain either a CR-1 or an IR-1 visa, you will need to complete and submit Form I-130 to the USCIS to sponsor your spouse. This form highlights important information such as details about your marriage and proof of your U.S. citizenship or permanent residency status. Upon arrival, the petition is forwarded to the National Visa Center, or NVC, and they will need to send an application packet to your spouse listing all the important documents they need to prepare and submit. During this stage, your spouse also needs to complete their medical examination and pay the processing fees. Your spouse will also be invited to attend an interview held at the U.S. Embassy closest to their current address. They must bring all the required documents and proof of a medical examination to the interview in person. During the interview, the officer will ask questions about your spouse's relationship with you, their profession, and if they have been previously married, and more. If your spouse passes the interview, the embassy will issue them a CR-1 or IR-1 visa, depending on what kind of visa they applied for. There are some post-approval conditions to fulfill. With a CR-1 visa, they need to fill out Form I-751 to remove specific conditions from their permanent residency status. 90 days before their visa expires, once they have unconditional PR status, they can apply for their green card. Whether you want to apply for a CR-1 or IR-1 visa, contact Siam Legal for our support As a high-performing law firm with over 20 years of experience, our US visa consultants have the knowledge and experience to guide you every step of the way and ensure you can bring your spouse into the States as swiftly and smoothly as possible. That's all for today's video. If you have found this information helpful, please like and subscribe to our channel for more US visa insights and updates. สวัสดีครับ